Welcome, critters! I'm Claire Jones, your devoted host of the Sacred Reading CR podcast, where we discuss and examine Critical Role episodes, plotlines, and characters through the lens of sacred reading practices. This particular episode is about Campaign 1, Episode 46,
Yes.
Part 2. And joining me today is Atlas.
Hello.
The icebreaker for today is a bit of a contradiction to what we were talking about. But I picked it 2 weeks ago. So what do you want to try for the first time in the year ahead?
Oh, um, so I have this goal to make it to all 50 states, and I'm
Mm,
actually pretty close. I'm
mm.
working on the trip for state number 49, which is Washington. And so there's a whole list of things that I want to do in Washington, but one of the big ones is I want to go whale watching for the first time.
Yeah.
So that's pretty top of my list right now.
Yeah.
Um,
I
that
mean,
and
when you come to Seattle, we will see each other. That's required.
entirely possible.
You're like possible, may not be required.
It all depends on our schedules. They are so hard to match up.
That is true. That is true. So
Yeah.
that's 50, 49. What's 50?
Mhm. Alaska.
Oh, okay. Well, you could do a twofer.
I don't have the PTO time to do them
Mm,
both the way I would like to do them.
mm, true. Yeah.
So,
Because we do have several cruises that go from Seattle to Alaska.
true, but I have like requirements on what counts as having visited a state, and stopping over to leave for a cruise would not be one of them. And that would kind of be the only way it would fit into my existing PTO time.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it. Ah, traveling.
Yeah.
Hmm. My brain is mush, so I'm supposed to answer the question now.
That's usually how it works.
That's usually how it works. What do I want to try for the first time in the year ahead? Oh man. Well, the big goal for this year, 2025, was to pay off all of my debt by the end of the year. And so that was in pursuit of another goal of getting pregnant next year.
Good luck.
Yeah. So that's probably the thing I'll try for the first time.
I hope it works.
Carrying another human life inside my body.
Uh, it's a very unique experience, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm just honestly, I'm morbidly curious at this point. I think that's driving most of my like I'm completely fine with adoption if the whole fertility journey doesn't work out for me, and I'm more than happy to go that route. But I'm just really morbidly curious about the whole like physical process of bringing another human life into the world. It's going to be fascinating.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna be
Personally, I
like,
find it slightly
ooh,
terrifying, but
body,
kudos to
you are
you.
doing weird things.
Yeah.
I'm also mildly considering doing it unmedicated
Hmm.
just for the shits and giggles, like literally shits and giggles.
Kudos. I could never.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, the plans of mice and men, right? Like, who
Yeah.
knows how it's going to happen and how everything's going to, play out. But I'm just really fascinated on a scientific level by the whole process.
Yeah, fair enough.
No, no. Well, please join us as we embark on this exciting adventure in story analysis and self-reflection in order to deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. As always, we're looking for your own insights and stories as well. So please comment, like, subscribe below, and ready? All right, let's dive in. as we open this podcast episode, Atlas, take it away.
All right. We come back to the start of combat as the party approaches the rift. There are several flame-based creatures emerging from the rift and a pool of molten lava at their feet. The party is definitely intimidated, and Keyleth drops her elemental form because one of the entities appears to be the salamander general that was referenced in the first half of the episode. They try to stealth closer, but are caught by the general and a couple fire elementals, so they roll initiative. Gurn recognizes one of the entities as an Ifriti just in time for it to lob two fireballs onto the party. Vax lands a solid hit on one of the fire entities, and Vex tucks behind a tree to shoot several times. She only hits once. Gurn and his followers are consumed by a fire elemental moving into their space, and Gurn takes a couple more hits. Percy and Scanlan take some damage as a fire elemental moves their direction, but they are missed by its attacks. Gurn maneuvers a bit and shoots off a cone of cold spell, catching two of the fire entities and temporarily cooling one of the lava pools. One of Gurn's undead followers takes its action to put out the fire on him, and the other throws an ineffective snowball. Percy runs across the field and hexes one of the elementals before taking 3 shots at it, hitting twice. Scanlan traps one of the entities in Odaluke's resilient sphere, and then heals Gurn with a healing word. Keyleth hits a couple of the elementals with a tidal wave spell, and the water moving through them destroys them entirely. Grog goes into a rage and lands some hits on one of the salamander. However, he also takes some fire damage as a result of those hits. The salamander retaliates on its turn, only managing to hit once. The Ifriti is next in the initiative, but it's trapped in the resilient sphere and can't do anything, so it just gets mad. Vax throws his daggers at the salamander and hits 3 times. Vex then steps up and fires at the giant fire guy. Another entity emerges from the portal while one of the existing combatants misses 2 attacks on Scanlan. Gurn uses his lightning breath weapon on the new elemental for his turn and sends his undead followers to try to cause a distraction, which they manage to do somehow. Percy moves his hex and then shoots with bad news, but misfires, so pulls out his pistol instead. Scanlan lines up a lightning bolt, which hits 2 of the entities and then backs away to more solid ground. And then he heals Gurn again. They spend a lot of time healing Gurn. He takes an opportunity attack as he moves away. Keyleth casts another tidal wave and takes out 2 more of the elementals, and then also casts healing word on Gurn. Grog attacks, and the Ifriti in the sphere drifts a bit, and Vax takes out one of the salamanders with a critical hit. They need to find a way to bring the Ifriti orb down to their level, and there are a few ideas bandied about before Gurn suggests his flying broom could be useful. He jumps up on the broom and is able to lower the orb a few feet before it stops again. Gurn solves this by jumping up and down on the orb, which sinks slowly. Grog shoves the sphere towards the portal, and Gurn tumbles off of it into some lava. Before they can shove it through the portal, the spell ends and combat restarts with the trapped Ifriti. The Ifriti flies back up to where it was and attempts to cast invisibility on itself, but is counterspelled by Scanlan. Too many S's. Vax hits the Ifriti with some daggers, and Vex hits it with a lightning arrow. Gurn gets himself out of the lava using his broom, and Vex offers to hold it so he can cast Disintegrate. Percy moves his hex to the Ifriti and hits him with all 3 shots. Scanlan uses his Ioun Stone for the first time, choosing to cast Lightning Bolt again, and manages to finish off the Ifriti they were fighting. Grog finally gets out of the lava pool, and Vex takes the opportunity to congratulate him and sleight of hand Gurn's flying broom into the bag of holding. Gurn doesn't see the exchange, and Vex manages to convince him that his broom fell in the lava while his back was turned. There's a little bit of banter, but their attention is quickly taken by the portal expanding further. Keyleth throws up a skywrite spell to let the other Ashari know that it is time to take the portal, and they are quickly joined by Corrin and Serkonos' teams. Keyleth can see another wave of fire entities approaching on the other side of the portal, and the druids all line up to start closing it. They begin to shrink the portal, but struggle, and Corrin calls for more power. Gurn volunteers one of his spell candles, and on a successful Arcana check, determines that the blink candle can help since the portal is a door between planes. He sends Coral forward with the candle, and while she does melt in the lava, the candle gets close enough that it is able to shrink the portal by several feet. Then Keyleth uses her 7th level plane shift spell and her connection to the fire plane to pull the portal closed a little bit more, leaving it much smaller. Vax covers what is left of the portal with his Cape of the Mountebank and manages to trigger its Dimension Door effect at just the right time to close the portal the rest of the way. He takes some damage as he falls into the lava as the portal closes. Keyleth casts Cure Wounds on Vax and as the lava starts to cool. The druids acknowledge all of their help, and Corrin takes a moment to tell Keyleth that he's proud. He tells her that he's going to stay in Pyra to help rebuild and encourages her to continue on her Aramente, reminding her that she can get help from Zephyra at any time. Gurn, in the meantime, has begun to find many candle-making treasures on the ground around them. Percy extends an invitation to visit Whitestone someday, and Vex casts Cure Wounds on him. Gurn scoops up some dragon scales found on the ground, which turns out to be what he was searching for in the first place, and heads off on his own. As he's leaving, Vex invites Gurn to join them in killing a dragon in Amon very soon. Gurn continues scavenging, and the party makes camp to rest, planning to return to Whitestone in the morning. And that is where we end this episode.
So we've thrown a lot of shade at this episode.
We have.
And I think it's easy to do so, and I think it's justifiable to do so. And still, I think this episode lays the groundworks for so many things that happen down the road. And I'm not just talking about in this campaign, I'm talking about in later campaigns too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm specifically thinking of the resilient sphere being used in
Fair.
the battle royale.
Mm-hmm.
I'm specifically thinking of how Tidal Wave shows up again in campaign 2.
Yeah.
The flying broom and how pivotal that whole plot point is for the rest of the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of key narrative points that get hit in this episode. It's just they get buried by the seemingly pointlessness of it all.
Yeah, I think you're right that there are some very interesting mechanical uses that now that we know they work, we will see again.
Absolutely.
Um, but I think most of the value of this episode is condensed down to the last 10 to 15 minutes. And so it's really easy to miss in this 4-hour episode the 10 minutes that matter when they are at the very end
Yeah.
and don't seem important in the moment, more so in retrospect.
Yeah. Yeah. The creative use of spells and mechanics is a huge
Mm-hmm.
feature of the second half.
Yes. Have we seen a resurrection ritual yet in this campaign? I don't remember. Yes, we have because we saw Vex.
Yes.
Um, yeah, but Matt doing kind of the same thing he does with resurrection rituals
For the
with the
portal. Yeah.
portal, pushing them to use spells in an interesting way is
Yeah.
always one of the things I appreciate about his DMing. The one thing I wish he would do slightly differently is set them up so that players had a little bit more time to read through their spells, to consider stuff they might not normally use. Just because unlike actually having a power set, D&D does require you to read and to remember, and it's not something that you innately know or innately have access to. You kind of need time to go through the rule book. It
Yeah.
is a very wordy game. And I think especially this portal closure would have benefited from the players having a little bit of a heads up that they might need to think about some
Yeah.
planar spells, not even
Yeah.
specifics, but just what do you have that's planar? Maybe keep an eye on it. Just some, not enough to spoil, but enough to set up.
Yeah. Yeah. This whole episode feels rushed. And I think
Yeah.
we touched on that in the first half is there's a like in real world reason why this
Hmm.
episode feels rushed.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that that also detracts from the full emotional involvement of both the characters and the players and the viewers of this
Yeah,
episode.
for sure.
Um, because it is very much treated like a resurrection spell. And they were saying leading up to this whole thing, like, we don't know how we can possibly contribute to this problem that's happening right now.
Right.
And I think the whole throwaway nature of this plot point was also set up by Keyleth in the first place
Hmm.
because she minimized it from the very beginning of like not wanting to go, not wanting to face it.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think Matt reinforced that with the lack of preparedness that he offered.
Yeah. It's it's one of those things. It could have been done in this episode just to set it up correctly because then they have, the break or the entire game to just flip through in their spare moments. If like Corin or Sir Konos had made a comment of like, if you guys have any planar magic, maybe, keep that in mind, or describing a little bit more of what this portal actually meant or what a rip actually meant, what they intended to do. Whereas we get towards the end this very vague, they're doing something to it. We don't know
Yes.
what.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going into it blind.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't even have to be this huge setup. It could have just been a comment from an NPC earlier in the game
Yeah.
that would have helped the
Yeah.
players.
Because the players didn't even realize that it was a planar thing until Matt set that up for Gurn to use
Hmm.
the blink candle
Yeah.
specifically.
And without that Arcana check, they never would have known.
Yeah.
Like, it was just too much of a mystery to them to want to pursue that plot point, much less figure out how to solve it.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a great example of how novel inclusions can shake up a group's creativity
Yeah.
capacity as well. I think that's the metaphor that I'm seeing here when it comes to how Gurn's arcana check affected the group dynamic. Um,
Hmm.
but it did feel rushed and forced by Matt.
Yeah. And I think part of that was him trying to keep things a little bit more on the rails.
Yeah,
Because I think Gurn specifically was very fourth wall breaky and jokey, and that's fine if that's what you want to play. But it didn't lead in well to the dramatic
yeah,
moment that he was trying to get to. And so I think part of feeling rushed is Matt had a heavier hand in directing this episode than he usually does.
yeah,
And so usually when that happens, it's because they've kind of run through everything already and he's just trying to get them back towards something. This was, they hadn't necessarily done that, but he needed to have that hand in order to keep this episode going at all.
yeah, yeah. It felt anticlimactic as a result.
Yeah, it
Um,
did.
Even though, like I said, there were very important minor beats that
Mm-hmm.
happened throughout the episode that
Yeah,
inform a large part of the campaign, inform a large part of future campaigns.
for
So
sure.
there are chances for character growth, but
Hmm.
it's not the immediate emotional impact that we usually see in moments of growth.
Yeah, and I think Corin's conversation with Keyleth is actually super important.
Yeah.
She is feeling pretty discouraged at this point with her Aramente. You know, she's dealing with the dragons, which is a whole different thing. But also, he does remind her that she can come home and ask for help.
Yeah.
Um, and that is something that up until now, she's been fairly adamant she's not allowed to do.
Mm.
Or goes against the spirit of her Aramente.
Mm.
And to some extent, maybe, but part of growing up is learning that you can ask for help. Um,
Oh man.
and so it's a super important moment that gets immediately undercut by a joke by a guest character and gets forgotten because of the episode it's in. But it is so important and so fundamental to her ability to continue this journey she's on is
Yeah.
this pep talk from her dad.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to that conversation that we were having earlier about just game etiquette.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we can't mention game etiquette without addressing Broomgate.
Yeah.
So my 2 cents on it is it good game etiquette? No. But does it set up an interesting story? Yes. And sometimes you give up good game etiquette for
Yeah.
story beats.
Yeah.
Did they know it was going to go there? No. Is it the worst lack of game etiquette we've ever had? No. Do I love it? No. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. It's messy.
Yeah.
Like the narrative style is messy, the player style is messy, the character style is messy, and
Hmm.
that can make us uncomfortable as viewers.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the important thing to recognize here is that there can be value found in messiness.
Yes. Yeah. This is also one of those times where it's what my character would do is not good game etiquette, but is also not going to completely derail the game.
Yeah.
It is in character for Vex. It is in character for Laura. It is, you know, understandable in a way. It's not great game etiquette, and that's something we can acknowledge, and I think they do acknowledge later on. But it just doesn't matter that much. But
Yeah.
it's always going to be that game etiquette question that comes up at this point
Yeah.
in the campaign.
Yeah. 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 It's interesting. Just like how much can be mined from messiness if you are
Mm-hmm.
willing to do so.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I think that's ultimately what I take away from this episode is that it's awkward, it is uncomfortable at times.
Mm.
Um, it feels jerky and
Yeah.
non-cohesive. Is that a word?
Uh,
Uncohesive? Incohesive? Incohesive.
yeah, there we go. There's a word for that.
Yeah, I
I
was
wrote
like,
it down.
what am I searching for here? Incohesive. Um, it's interesting. I mean, switching to personal experiences, I'm in the middle of doing a developmental edit for a client's manuscript right now, and I find that incohesivity. Let's just make a word to this podcast. Um, is very common when someone is trying to use omniscient narrator.
Yeah.
Um, because people often fall into the trap of head hopping in omniscient narrator style, where we see one thought from one character, another thought from another character, and there's no through line by or bridge by the narrator to connect them or provide some type of transition between the perspectives.
Right.
And I keep thinking in my mind, it's almost like if you were filming a movie, the focus of the camera is just like constantly jumping from like one object to another or one character to
Mhm.
another instead of having that cohesive wide view of the scene that's going on. And I feel like that's what's happening in this episode is that we're constantly jumping between these different characters in this scene that is justifiably epic in its own right.
Yeah.
And so the jerkiness of the focus is taking away from the epicness of what the scene could be.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. I think from my personal experience, it's more the chaos makes more sense in hindsight.
Mm,
And so I'm not gonna share a whole lot of details, but my work life is currently a whole lot of chaos.
yeah.
Um, and it is difficult to deal with at the moment. But my work life has also been chaos since January.
Mm. For
So
reasons.
for reasons, um, it's a fun time. Um, but having the ability to look back at what has happened over the last year,
Yeah.
now that we're in December,
Yeah.
realizing that some of that chaos is starting to make sense and hoping that eventually this chaos makes sense or at least is manageable.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
I'll take anything.
Yeah. I mean, I've really made an effort in my own life to focus on that creativity aspect too,
Mm-hmm.
of like, how can I take this messy, chaotic situation and be creative with it instead of
Yeah.
be bogged down by the uncertainty that comes with chaos?
Yeah. And creativity is a great way to deal with chaos. Patience is also super important. Finding whatever piece that works for you to get through it and be able to look back on it with some clarity is what's important, really. You know, take those mental health days, run away and go, spend some time outside or, whatever works for you. For me, I ran away to the mountains and it was great. But, that's a very Colorado thing of me to do. So do what works for you, you
That
know?
happens in Washington all the time, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I spent a couple years in Indiana. It did not happen there.
No, no.
So, in general, do what works for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think focusing on creative responses sparks the enjoyment process
Mhm.
instead of
Yeah.
viewing the chaos as a punishment or as something that's negative. You can
Yeah.
turn it into positive fuel.
That's very fair. Yeah. I am I'm a big crafter and I always have some sort of creative project going on that is its own source of chaos. Um Up until recently, I had this project I'd been working on for 5 years and now I don't. And I'm feeling a
Right?
little lost.
Yeah.
So I got to find a new big creative project to help with this version of chaos. But
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in a period of my life right now where I have too much structure.
fair.
Um, and I've noticed that that's something about myself where if I have to restrict in multiple areas of my life, then I have a tendency to go overboard with the restriction.
Mm, yeah.
And so I'm finding lately that I've been also restricting joy in my day-to-day life
Mhm.
and specifically reading for myself. Um,
Yeah.
and so I'm kind of feeling the same stuckness, I think, that you are in the moment of being like, I need something to fill this angst space that I'm having in my life right now. Um, Maybe it's a little chaos for some people.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little more structure for other people. Maybe it's a mountain. Maybe it's a D&D game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, because I think that's ultimately what Critical Role is for the players
Yeah.
and for many of the viewers as well.
I would agree. It is in many ways my comfort show and the thing I turn to in chaos. So,
Because it's
yes.
structured chaos at the end of the day.
Yes, it's fun chaos versus stressful chaos. They are
Yeah.
two very different things.
I mean, that's what I always say about, having a love of fantasy in general.
Yes.
Like, I would rather read a book about the stresses of fighting dragons than deal with the IRL stresses of taxes.
Yes, please. Thank you. I will take fantasy dragons over taxes any day of the week.
Right, right. Um, and so it's important to find ways to have the balance between structure and chaos.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not an easy balance to strike for anybody. It's a
Yeah,
learned process. And I think that's also important to remember is you're not going to inherently be good at dealing with it. It is something you have to learn to do and give yourself grace to learn.
yeah. And I think that's what we're seeing in this episode.
Yeah.
Is I think the pendulum has just swung a little more towards the chaos side.
Yes. Yeah.
And sometimes we need that. Sometimes it's fruitful to do so. Um, but I think it often happens in times of transition in general.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about that for a long time when it comes to Critical Role and the development of the brand of Critical Role at this point in time in the
Mhm.
campaign is they're still trying to find their sea legs.
They're getting a lot closer, but it was definitely a slow moving behemoth. It is not a simple thing because they're not a developed show, not a planned show. It is a D&D game.
Yeah.
And so it was inherent in the style of content that it was always going to take longer for them to find their feet. But I think they're finally getting there.
Yeah.
Um, it's we're what a third of the way into this campaign
Yeah.
ish,
Yeah.
a little more than a
Almost.
third.
Yeah.
Um, but it's it's a process, but they're getting there.
And I think when pressure increases, this tendency to overcorrect with chaos
Yeah.
happens much more frequently. I'm thinking of a moment last week. I definitely turned up the pressure on myself, like out unreasonably. So I signed up for a bake sale last Saturday and I was baking my butt off Monday through Friday to like prep everything for
Hmm.
this bake sale on a Saturday. And so I was working 8:30 in the morning to 7:30 at night every day last week.
Dedication.
Um, and in the midst of all of that, I managed to break the glass lid of one of my casserole dishes.
Of course.
And it's just like one of those moments where I was like, the chaos is chaosing too much.
Yeah, fair.
Like now I have large shards of glass all over my kitchen floor while in the middle of actively baking.
Yeah, that's not a great combo.
No, it's not at all. And I was like, at least it's on the floor and not like on the counters.
Still. Ooh.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was just like that's just a great metaphor for what happened in this house.
I think any metaphor for slightly uncontrolled chaos is a great metaphor for this episode.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you just kind of have to stand there and be like, well, that happened. Now what am I going to do with that?
Yep. Yeah.
Hmm. Um, is there anything that we're being called to do as a result of these insights?
I think the one for me that I took away was listen to the little moments, even if you have to listen to them in hindsight.
Mm,
Because I think that conversation with Corin really does have an effect on Keyleth.
mm.
And I think especially for a lot of people that you can ask for help. It is part of being a functional leader, a functional adult, is a really hard lesson to hear. Um, and so I'm gonna take that lesson. Thank you, Corin, for that. And just try to actually be okay with asking for help because that's not a thing I am good at. It is a thing I have know that I need to work on. But I'm going to take the impetus of a Critical Role episode to really focus on it for a little bit and try to be better about asking for help when I need it instead of
Oh,
being
man,
stubborn about it.
I know. Tell me about it. Um, I mean, I think it's part of this whole like learning from the unexpected theme that we've
Yeah.
got going on here. Um, I too have also been practicing the whole help asking for help concept in my life.
Yeah.
Um, I think I've mentioned a time or two on here that I got rid of my car earlier this year, and so like asking for rides is like a new
Yeah.
concept for me. Um, but I think what I want to take away especially is like learning from these unexpectedly creative moments that we see in
Right.
this episode. Um, because sometimes we need a self-contained, safe playground to experiment with creativity
Yeah.
without it having real world or significant impact.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we see in this episode is it's not necessarily a resurrection ritual where it's life and death,
Right.
but it is kind of life and death. It is a massive gaping portal.
It is just in its own way.
Yeah. And so I think what I'm being called to do is offer myself more opportunity to play around with creativity unattached to anything that's truly significant.
Yeah. That's very fair. And it does help with actually being creative and leaning into the, you know, dopamine producing part of things.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a moment last night where I literally just had to wrap myself up in a blanket and lay on my floor,
Yep.
and listen to music until I didn't feel like shit.
Yes. But you should have space to do that.
Right? I was like, why didn't I think of this earlier? Because this would have made my mood so much better on all the other days this week where I felt like shit.
Yes. Lying on the floor wrapped in a blanket is a very important skill set, I will have you know.
It feels so useless before you get into position.
Hmm.
And then once you're in position, you're like, oh, this is exactly what I needed.
Yep. I've got my fireplace all set up for the year. I've got my Christmas lights up. So I did a very similar thing last weekend of just like, I am going to be cozy with all the lights off and, you
Yeah.
know, just the Christmas lights and it's pretty and relaxing and I don't need to do anything.
Yeah. This is an excellent reminder to me that I don't have to be productive 24/7.
Yes.
That I can just lie on the floor, and not feel guilty that I'm not spending the time
Yeah.
better.
And it's still an important part of the story. It is still an important part of life, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like we can let this episode just exist for its pure chaotic messiness. Um, and it doesn't detract from our enjoyment, our overall enjoyment of the show or overall
right.
impact and significance of the show for us.
Yeah. And one episode that is tonally a little different and, maybe a little bit um out of step, or, not necessarily in a bad way, but just in a different way. Um is not a bad thing, and overall is kind of negligible in the long run,
Yeah.
but doesn't hurt anything in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it reminds me to give grace,
Hmm.
not be nitpicky,
Yeah.
which I think is important, especially in this productivity obsessed capitalist society that we live in.
Yup. Definitely a thing.
Just saying. Um, I got my first negative book review the other
Ooh.
day, and it was very nitpicky.
Yeah.
And it was like a blog post. I'm not just talking like one sentence.
Yeah.
And I had to sit there and be like, hmm, do I take this personally or do I just allow it to exist in its messiness?
Yeah. Yeah.
I ended up
And
choosing the latter,
that's the healthy way to go. And
although I was offended for probably about 4 hours.
fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's kind of the way I treat this episode of like, it's not my cup of tea, but when I come back to it, it's like it's fine and I can just leave it. And we mentioned we've dogged on this episode. It has
Yes, we have.
not been
Yes.
not been a favorite of this podcast.
Yes, we've thrown a lot of shade.
But in the long run, do I actually care that much about this episode? No.
No,
It's forgettable.
it is.
And part of it is that is what this podcast is we nitpick and we look at the details.
Yes.
So just remember that's where all of this is coming from for us, is because this is a nitpicky podcast. It is
Yeah.
not that we are mad about this episode.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
really
We're not
don't care
about to
that much,
cancel Critical Role because of this episode.
right? Like, honestly, I don't care that much, but that's what this podcast does.
YouTube literally told me on my YouTube Wrapped this year that I am 0.03% of Critical Role's top viewers.
That's some dedication.
I was like 0.03%. It's like, are you, wait, I was like, are you?
Oh,
I was like, I feel
yeah.
like I should get one of those like YouTube plaques just for that.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes to show you just how much of a role Critical Role plays in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But you're right. I mean, that is the point of this podcast is to look at things deeply. And just because something is imperfect,
Hmm.
just because something has pros and cons inherent to it, attached to it, doesn't make it not worthwhile.
Yeah. Yeah. And a nitpicky review or two is just par for the course,
Yeah.
uh, and should not affect your overall enjoyment of anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I was just waiting for it to happen.
That's fair.
Like I knew it was going to happen at some point. Like I can't be the only author of all time that only gets 4 to 5
No,
star reviews.
it's really inevitable. It is a sign of success, honestly.
I know. It's like getting your first hate DM. I celebrated my
Yeah.
first hate DM, so I was like, all right, yay. And it was a 2.5 star, so it's not a
Yeah,
complete
that's not
like
horrible.
1 star either. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay. The fact that it was so specific was I was offended.
Yeah. Fair
The fact
enough.
that it was like an essay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, you put a lot of thought into this.
Yes.
And I want to have a conversation with you, but that is not my place.
Also very valid.
Yeah, authors stay out of your review sections.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Well, I know I'm gonna go lie on the floor again tonight.
That sounds like a wonderful plan.
Yeah, I do have my little tree with blinking lights over there. So maybe I'll take a page out of your book and turn all my lights off and lay next to it.
It's very satisfying. Would
Mm,
recommend.
yes, I do see the appeal for sure.
Yeah.
I may even order takeout. Hmm, might even go a little crazy.
Yeah, I either have to order takeout or go grocery shopping, and I'm feeling takeout.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Treat yourself.
There we go. That's the moral of this podcast episode. Treat
Treat
yourself.
yourself. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Nah, I think I'm good.
Yeah. Per usual, this feels like therapy. Um, so thanks for co-therapizing with us. I'm just gonna make up all the words tonight.
What is English even?
You know, the definition of a word, I looked this up once because I was in an argument with a history teacher in high school, is a word is just a combination of sounds that have a pre-established meaning to them.
There you go. If you know what it means, it's a word.
Yep. So, cohesify. This is
Uh,
powerful stuff that we're talking about, audience. And we definitely encourage you to share your own thoughts and feelings and insights and therapizing moments with us as well. We'd love to know how Critical Role has impacted you in your own lives. Do you know what your YouTube Critical Role ranking is? Can we like compare stats? Yeah, like seriously, 0.03%. Like, are we serious?
it's an accomplishment.
Like, how many people are even in that percentage?
A lot, but that's
I
just
mean,
a
are we
critical
talking like
role.
100? Are we talking about 1,000? Like, I want to know where I
Oh
stand.
yeah, who knows?
Special thanks to Alice for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Always happy to be here.
Next time, we'll be discussing Campaign 1, Episode 47, Part 1, and joining me will be Petal, so I'm excited for that. As always, I'm looking for more co hosts and guests, so if you want to come nerd out with me and make up words, please let me know. In the meantime, please comment, like, subscribe below, follow us on Tumblr at Sacred Reading, CR for all the juicy updates. Wow. My brain just went off in the middle of saying that. Until next time, may all beings be peaceful, may all beings be free, and be the chaotic good you wish to see in the world. Take care, guys.
Bye.